Hey everybody, it's Clint. Today is a special day for a lot of people, 420. If you don't know what that is, then look it up, I guess. I'm sure there's something about it on the internet somewhere. No, but anyways, I do not partake in the ganja, but I can appreciate those who do. And so to celebrate, I guess, in my own way, I did an out and back down Beach Road through Pahoa. And each distance out and then back was 4.20 miles. So I guess the only thing better than one 420 is two 420s. And that's not been uploaded to Strava yet because I was having some syncing issues with my Garmin. What else is new? I'm kind of making this podcast interesting. I've got one of those slender tone like belts. It goes around your waist and it's got these electric pads, and it's supposed to give you rock hard abs like the fitness models on the front of the box, but I will probably not have that ever, at least not from this contraption, because I like to eat too much. So I think that it's true, abs are made in the kitchen. So if you out eat your ab workouts, you're never gonna have rock hard abs. And I'm pushing 40, so the window's closing in on me. But anyways, we'll see. I just like to put it on because I paid decent money for it, and I haven't used it in about a year. So if I yelp in pain, it's because I've got this thing on, and it goes through cycles. So it'll like pulse for a little while, and then it'll go dormant, and then all of a sudden it'll hit you like really hard with a zap, and go dormant, and then hit you real hard again. So it has all these little phases that it goes through. So it should be interesting. But yeah, I am in the middle of an audiobook that I actually put as a suggestion on the Soapbox last podcast, and I say I'm in the middle. I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, and it's a really good audiobook. It's a book, actually. It's an audiobook for num-nums like me who don't read that much. The only things that I really read are technical manuals. So I'll sit and read a book cover to cover on SQL or HTML or JavaScript or something like that. But when it comes to like just pleasure reading, I prefer to hear the author reading their book, or somebody else that can read really good, like do the characters and stuff like that. But anyway, enough about my reading preferences. This book is really good, and it's better than I even could have imagined. I strongly recommend Born to Run. I've got it posted up on the site. You can see the author. I believe it is Christopher, and the last name starts with a M. I've got an issue, ladies and gentlemen, because I'm on the phone. I'm recording this through my headphones, which are linked to my phone. And so last time I was trying this, when I moved to a different screen, it's still recorded, but if the phone times out and goes to the lock screen, it stops recording and it just goes dead. So I don't want to do that. So I don't want to roll over to the site to see who that author is. I'm sorry, author. I doubt that you're listening to this podcast, or any self-respecting ultra runner. You're probably not listening to this podcast, and you probably know who the author is. I do, or I did, and I went ahead and put it up on the website because I know how bad I am with remembering names of people and also of things. I can remember Teotihuacan because that was on Ancient Aliens, right? Totally useless knowledge, but I cannot remember precisely the name of the tribe that's in Born to Run. I know it starts with a T. I know that it kind of sounds like Teotihuacan, but it's not, and I can't remember for the life of me, and I also can't switch over. It might help me to actually plan these podcasts and write stuff down that I'm going to say, but then that's no fun because I'm just reading off of papers. But anyways, I digress. This book is really good. It is a bunch of stories, a staggering amount of accounts from many different people, and they're all intermingled and they make up this book. It's interspersed with facts, like health facts and medical knowledge about running, and just a very useful book whether you are a runner yourself, interested in running, or absolutely have no interest in it at all. The sociogeographic, is that a word? It has a lot of sociogeographic value. It's very educational. Culturally, it's telling you about actually a couple of different cultures. It highlights the American culture subtly or not so subtly. It talks about ultra running culture and also the culture of I guess I'll call them a tribe. I hope that's not being disrespectful, but a tribe of people that live in Mexico, and these people, they run. I don't want to tell too much about the book because I want you to discover all this for yourself, but they run long distances, and they don't have a lot of fancy shoes and equipment and things, so you're learning stuff, and at least for me, I'm also doing a lot of self-reflection. It's reinforcing a lot of things that I've learned over the years, kind of, not really the hard way, but just it's taken me a long time to learn things that I could have known if I would have just found this book earlier, and that would have been very valuable to me, but still very valuable to me now, and I like to recommend it, and I hope that you'll check it out. Born to Run by Christopher, I think. Actually, I'm going to take a risk. I'm going to go ahead and look this up. So hopefully this will not stop recording, because this is bugging me. Let's see. Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. That's what I was going to say. Alright, and it looks like it did actually keep recording. Hopefully. So, Born to Run by Christopher McDougall. Another thing that I learned from this book, I'm not going to give the precise ingredients because I want you to like discover all that stuff for yourself. But it's a drink that actually now I'm going to go ahead and look up the name of this tribe because that is just ignorant of me. The name of the tribe is not apparent. I need to do a better search. To run tribe. Raramuri is I believe, the actual name, and then Tarahumara. So actually a bad thing happened right here. I actually talked for probably 15 or 20 minutes. Exactly what I thought was going to happen happened. So I'm not going to do that again. But Tarahumara was the name of the tribe. And then I briefly went on to mention that there is a documentary on Netflix that it's called Lorena, I believe, Light-Footed Woman. And I'm going to definitely have to start doing these podcasts on my computer so I can look stuff up. But that is not as insightful, and it doesn't give you the full context that Born to Run gives. Born to Run is just a great book. Have I mentioned that I really like Born to Run? So check out that book. It's available in audiobook for people like me on Audible and probably Chirp or probably some other platform too. I don't know. Does Apple have books? I think there's some kind of Apple book store thingamabob. You could probably find it on there. But also check out that Lorena Light-Footed Woman. It's not really like a full-on documentary. It just kind of tells a little bit about this nice lady. And you get a little bit of insight, but not the full context you get from Born to Run about the Raramuri or Tarahumara people. And also look up a little bit more about them. It's cool to see, it's cool to hear the description of how they dress, but then it's also neat to see the images too. So do a quick image search, check them out. And I believe a while back I watched a documentary on them. So I think floating around somewhere, like maybe it was done by National Geographic or maybe Discovery or something like that. I think there's a documentary about them that kind of like details what they're all about, which you may want to dig around. And if I find it, I will post it to the site and probably talk about it on another episode. But so, yeah, that book's really good. And one of the things that book has really got me thinking about, I have really been a curmudgeon lately. I think, well, I don't want to say that a lot of people have, but I think a lot of people feel like being a curmudgeon. What's up with this year? It is really not going well so far. And my heart goes out to everybody that is in the southeast. I saw some really crazy weather is setting in, and I think last week they had some tornadoes and things. Some other weather events, not just and things. But I think they're getting hail and possible tornadoes in Alabama today or tonight. So everybody stay safe. I mean, and I saw briefly about the gunman that killed, I think, 16 people yesterday, or maybe it was earlier today. I tell you, it's a crazy world these days, and I don't know. Like my own personal life, not like my whole personal life's not in shambles. I don't want to give that impression. But like professionally, I kind of feel like I'm in a sort of a dead end, and I'm getting ready to go back to school and hopefully change that, because you just can't sit around, I guess, and lament and mope and whine about stuff. You have to actually plan a course of action and then do something to get yourself out of a situation. That's not a guaranteed fix all, or it may not solve it for every situation, but I've never found that strategy to be hurtful or make things worse. But yeah, with the virus and everything else that's wonky about the world, it's been a bit of a time. So I've been kind of grumpy. Just things, that are kind of beyond my control, and usually I wouldn't be so bent out of shape about them, but my ability to run, my ability's not really been decreased. My priorities have kind of shifted a little bit, and so I've not been running as much, and I'm one of these kind of damaged goods people that has to run. That's more or less my antidepressant, I guess. I don't want to use too heavy of words, because my life right now is not that difficult, but I do have some things that I've carried with me since childhood that kind of weigh heavy on me, and probably will weigh heavy on me until the day that I pass away. But going out, so I've got a little bit of social anxiety, and I find that going out and getting all those endorphins going, and letting out all those toxins through sweating, and just being kinetic and breathing in the clean air, taking in the sights and sounds, it's cathartic for me. So anytime that I'm not able to, or I keep saying I'm not able, I'm making excuses is what I'm doing. Anytime that I don't stay on, a daily or almost daily routine, I get a little bit out of shape. I kind of have a little mini withdrawal. I get a little grumpy. So I have been that way recently, kind of a little negative, a little standoffish, and I think that it somewhat came out in the podcast that I did over the weekend. So sorry about that. I'm not mad at anybody. I just have a lot on my mind, as does everybody else. And so I'm not trying to trivialize or say that my situation's hard. It's not. It's just, sometimes it do be that way. But thankfully, I became aware that I was kind of not doing what I was supposed to be doing. I have plenty of opportunity to go ahead and go run at a different place. What it is I don't like to go back and forth too far. Like I don't like to come all the way home and then go all the way back to where I just came from to get on a trail and run, because you're talking about like 30 minutes to get home, 30 minutes to drive back, right? Because the trail is right up next to where I work. But I am having to come home now because everybody's schedule is wonky with the schools being closed and schedules being different and all. So I come home now and I stay here for a little bit, and then I get back out. So what I have done is I have decided that instead of going all the way back up to work, I'm just going to go to a place that I used to run every day. It's Government Beach Road. I think I already mentioned that, and it goes down to where the lava flow is. I know I mentioned this before, but I could actually do a really long run and just start in my neighborhood and then just run south. I think if I did that, I'm just guessing, but I would say that it's probably 20 miles round trip. I might be overestimating, but I don't do that every day. Maybe I need to start, but I'll usually go down to another neighborhood called Hawaiian Beaches, and there's not many, but there's some places that you can park your vehicle if you're so inclined, and you are willing to assume the risk of having your vehicle broken into while you're off traipsing around Lower Puna. You can park in Hawaiian Beaches. Down to the lava flow is exactly 4 miles, 4.20 miles, and then back. So 8.4, is that right? I've never been that great with math. So yeah, that every day is not too shabby, and I was doing about 7 a day up at the reservoir. So the only deal, and I think I mentioned this before, is now they've paved over what used to be gravel road, and so you're basically running on a road. The cars can go faster, and did I just say you're running on a gravel road? You're not running on a gravel road. You're running on a paved road, and the cars can go faster, and yeah. So you just gotta watch out. Not my favorite thing to do. I don't like to run on the roads. I like to run on trails, just because I don't think cars and people go together. Or people on bikes, or people in sneakers. Yeah, but today was great. I really took some time to kind of appreciate and take notice of my surroundings. I've said it before, but I really like Lower Puna. And this area in particular is one of my favorites. Number one, how lucky am I that I get to live in this place? It's not always easy to be here. There are definitely pros and cons, and there's trade-offs and these things, but at the end of the day, like, how lucky am I to be here, and then to have this place that's so beautiful be, like 15 or 20 minutes away from where I live, and it's hard for me to adequately describe it, but it's like running through enchanted jungle. There's vines and big trees and um, coconut palms, ginger, all kinds of colors, all kinds of smells. I was going past somebody's house today, and they were cutting their yard, and I don't know what they were cutting. It could have actually been vanilla, maybe that got up in the mower blades or something. But whatever they were cutting, it smelled just like vanilla. So it was like this really pungent but pleasant vanilla scent in the air. And then sometimes you'll get this scent. I forgot what it's called. Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's hibiscus or what. There's a heavy honeysuckle scent that is in the air sometimes, but just really really pleasant smells, really pleasant sights. And then you run into all kinds of people, like you name it. You could run into them. So people I ran in today, the standout was there was a guy, hard to describe accurately, but picture a man he was a man that looked like a man's man. He had blue jeans, t-shirt. I believe his t-shirt was tucked into his blue jeans. A thick beard, not too long, not too short. Glasses. And he had a blinking light over his shoulder, I believe, and he was on rollerblades on this very low traffic road in the middle of Pahoa. And so I saw him. That guy was cool. He gets it. You take notice of people more, I think, because you just don't see that many, especially now. Not that many people are out. My wife will get mad at me, but there was a gorgeous blonde lady that was dressed like she was a dead ringer for what's her name in Vacation. She's an is it Christy Brinkley? I think it might be, but dead ringer, like walking down the road. But then it got weird because there were a lot of cops out as well after that, and I don't know if she was involved in all the hubbub, but there was like 5 or, well, maybe I'm exaggerating. There was a couple. There was 3 or more police vehicles like in this driveway, I guess, and then there was some other personal cars. I don't want to tell everybody's personal business, but it was an odd situation after that, so I didn't get too involved. But yeah, so like you see, whatever. Pahoa's like that. You can see many things. Actually, the whole island's like that. It's so different. Like in a matter of feet, you can be in a totally different world. But there was a nice not older. I don't want to say that, but they were older than me. We'll say that. But they still looked very healthy and vibrant, and they were nice. They were actually walking when I was parking my truck and starting, and so having done some self-reflection, I'm trying to be a little bit more talkative and nicer when I'm out, and just kind of appreciating what I've got, and just not being a jerk to people as much. Usually I'm not. I don't like go out of my way to be a jerk, but I'm just like I don't say much, and so I'm trying to to interact with people a little bit more. But this is not all about me. I see these people again, and this is after I had gone out to the lava flow and I was coming back, and so I passed them and they were still going in the opposite direction, and the ladies like and this was funny to me. She goes, how far do you jog? And so for any runner, that is either super humorous or super offensive. I don't take offense to anything, but and to be completely honest, I look like more of a jogger. Like if you see me, you're thinking jogger, because my build is not one where you're like, oh, you love to run. Like I look way more like a hobbyist, like somebody that would wear sweats and like a sweatband and some New Balance sneakers, and nothing against any of that, and nothing against joggers or whatever, but I look, my body type is that. I don't look like a runner. I definitely don't think that I look like a long distance runner. Maybe I should get my eyes fixed. I don't know, but that's just my perception. I'm a little bit of a chunky boy. Matter of fact, if you've seen an object that looks like a pillow with short shorts and ultras running around Puna or up at the reservoir, that was me. That was not a running pillow. So just remain calm. But yeah, so the lady said, how far do you jog? And I thought it was funny. Like, I honestly found humor in it. And I'm self-deprecating, believe it or not. I was like, I forgot what exactly I said, but it was, I still retained a small amount of standoffishness and didn't answer the question per se. I just said a long, long way or something like that, which is debatable. But yeah, so little things like that are pick me up, and none of the cops that I saw gave me any beef for being out, and I was not wearing a mask, so I'm sorry to anybody that is offended by that. I did not come in contact with, I probably didn't come within 10, probably 20 feet of people while I was out there. I didn't even see that many of them, to be honest. This is a pretty, not abandoned, but very low traffic. So there's some car traffic, but not a lot of foot traffic. So I'm sorry if that is bad, but I did not wear a mask. I wear one all day, all around, like at work, out at the grocery store. If I absolutely must go, I try to avoid those person-to-person interactions right now, because I understand like those people are, the amount of folks that they're coming into contact with, it's kind of unfair to them. So I try not to increase their burden too much. Again, I'm talking about me. Sorry. So when I'm out running, I don't even see how like a mask would even help. Can you imagine? Like it would be all soaked with sweat and completely and utterly useless, So it would negate the whole point of even having one on in the first place. So I'm just saying I didn't have one. I forgot why I even mentioned that. why I'm even implicating myself. If it gets bad enough, like if there were more people, I would, first of all, I just wouldn't be there. I would go home. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to get close to people. And yeah, I'm the last person that's going to walk up to somebody, start chatting them up. So I did maintain adequate social distance, but just no mask today. And so I remember why I brought that up. The cops didn't stop me. And so all in all, great day. I guess the police were out because they knew what 420 is all about, and they were trying to bust up people that would normally be congregating, which is sad, but at the same time, like, it's pretty serious, you know. There's cases on this island, and I mean, it, you know, whether there's a lot of cases or not, it really, all of that is negligible when you get it, right? So, like, once you get it, like, depending on some unknown black box of factors, you could either be fine, a little sick, or dead. Like, it's serious business. So I think that that's what the police were doing. They have been kicking people out of the reservoir as well that are going to the waterfalls, because I believe because it's such a tight area, and there's a lot of people that usually go there, and there's just too much possibility that people are going to be close together and sneezing, coughing on each other or whatever, and passing this thing along, and it's the last thing that we need right now. So yeah, everybody, I hope you stay healthy and wash your hands, and don't get this thing. Stay home and social distance if you have to get out. Take your mask, even though I know I just said I didn't wear one to run, but then I think I adequately explained why not, right? Because it would do no good. And I got to run. I know that may seem ignorant to some people, but I got to. Like, I do the fan bike at home, and I watch Thundercat and Little Dragon on YouTube or something, but after a while that gets old, and the fan bike just does not take off the pounds the way that running does, and it's so much more noticeable when I'm on the fan bike for 30 minutes versus when I'm out running for 45 minutes or an hour or 2 hours or 3. Like, running just has that effect on me where I just like lose time. And so I guess that's a good point. When you start off running, it kind of is like a means to an end. You're racing against the clock, or you're pushing to get done. But then once you become accustomed to it, you lose all that, and it actually becomes a part of you, or it becomes a thing that you look forward to doing. It's not so bad. The way I would describe it is like, even now, when I first start out, not all the time, but sometimes, frequently enough, when I first start off on a run, it's kind of like, what was that movie? I forgot what it was, but the one where Mickey Mouse he goes into like the wizard's basement, and he starts doing some magic, and I think like a couple brooms are walking around, but then he like really messes up, and then he starts like this whole storm of like uncontrollable, like inanimate objects that become alive, and they're like everywhere, and it's crazy. And I can't believe that I can't remember the name of this thing, but I'm really bad with everything. Remembering names of people and things. Maybe it's early onset dementia or Alzheimer's. I don't know. But so the sorcerer something, I forgot what it is. But anyways, it's kind of like that for me, because I start off and it's just a little bit, and then like once I get going, I get like that mojo or whatever. I can't stop almost. Like I don't want to stop sometimes. Like I want to keep going. It gets that good. So it doesn't get worse. It gets better actually once I get into it. And so you can do the same thing. You just have to keep pressing on until you get to that point. Like it'll click over, and you'll get out of the I gotta do this for X amount of time, or I want to lose this amount of weight or whatever. And if you do it enough, you'll get to that point, I think, eventually, where you're like, man, it's just a part of your life. It's just something you do, and it brings value to you. That's the biggest thing for me, is like it adds value. I used to say that if I don't enjoy it, at some point I won't do it anymore. But now I think that it's not even really an enjoyment thing. I do enjoy it, but it adds value to my life. It's a piece of my life that, number one, I have 100% control over, because I have zero control over a lot of other things, or somewhere between 0 and 100, but not quite 100% control of other things. So with running, I have 100% control. I control if I go or not. I control how far I go, how fast I go, what I drink, what I eat, what kind of shoes I'm wearing, whatever. It's something, it's another facet of my life. I enjoy a lot of things, and nothing as much as I don't focus on other things as much as I focus on running, but I enjoy a lot of things. Running is a facet of my life. It's a piece of me. So if something else fails, at least I've got that, and that's a pretty big thing. So my self-worth and my value is not diminished. It's kind of like where if you're investing, you invest in a lot of different things. You diversify your portfolio. Same thing with running and everything that you do. So like I like to run, of course. I like to play the guitar. I'm not great at playing the guitar, but I've been doing it since I was a kid, and so I have guitars. I play them sometimes. Archery I'm interested in. Again, not a superstar archer, but it's something that I like. Yeah, and so just you have all these kind of things that the sum of all of them is kind of like you. It's kind of what makes you you, like all of your interests and things. But anyway, I don't know why I'm telling you this. I think everybody gets this all by themselves. Yeah, and so that's what it is to me. That's what running is to me. It's kind of like a part of me. So I don't conceive of a time where I would not want to do it, or when I would want to stop. Injuries, thankfully, are not common for me. I have some issues with my knees that come up every now and then, but I think I'm just postulating. Of course, I'm not a physician and I have no valid medical opinion one way or the other, but I think based on things that I have been told in the past by people I trust that are smarter than me for sure, and just my observation, I think because I have enough muscle built up now, there's a lot of pressure that's taken off of my joints, and so I don't get knee pain the way that I used to. I used to have very bad knee pain, very, very bad, and even still sometimes I'll have a little bit of reoccurring. So I know the injury is still there. Eventually, like once my muscles start to atrophy and I get on up in age, it'll probably come remanifest and get worse. But for now, my muscle strength is such that the bone, no touchy bone, and I don't get those kind of arthritis pains in my knees as much as I used to. If you read the Born to Run book or listen to it, there's actually some good stuff in there about injury prevention too, and it talks about shoes, and this is something that I have talked about before. I don't think I put it as eloquently or as factually, like fact-based as what Born to Run puts it, but I have said in the past that you don't need like the newfangled everything to do this. You need enough, right? Like and even like needing shoes, I don't know, I'm not so sure, because the whole crux of this Born to Run book is these people, they run in sandals, they don't have shoes, and there's people in the book that actually run barefoot and they have less injuries and less problems. They're faster too, apparently. I don't know, I wasn't there, but according to this book, that's what they said. And I kindly tend to believe it, because some of the best shoes that I have had are these ultras that were made for very short distance. Like they were actually made for like a Spartan sprint type events where you're going through a lot of mud. They've got the Vibram outsoles and like big knobby shred, I guess, on the bottom of them, and the cushioning is nothing. It's like maybe like a half inch. I may be exaggerating, but I think it's very small. And then the average age of all of the pairs that I've got is such that they're so compacted down. But those are my favorite shoes, because I feel like I slip less in those, and I can feel my foot striking, and I become more connected with the ground, I feel like, with those than I do with the new pair of shoes that I have, or the Max Cushion shoes that I used for a little while. Yeah, and so I think there may be some validity to running barefoot or running in very minimal shoes, but say all that to say this, like, you don't need the most fancy things, but that's in the book too, and you can figure that out for yourself. But yeah, so the best thing that you can do is just make it a habit to run, like do it every day, and then you'll gradually notice that have to do it becomes, need to do it, like want to do it, need to do it type thing. Um, believe it or not, it can happen to you. And then you get to have like these little sort of pseudo magical experiences like I had today. Even when I was in Georgia, I mean, I know it's easy to have like a really awesome epiphany, like fantasy type run when you're in Hawaii, but also, in Georgia too. My best memories, I won't say my best, because I don't in any way want to diminish like time spent with friends or time spent with my family, but I still remember like pieces of trail that I would run like near where we lived. So I mean, there was a place called Arabia Mountain State Park, and I think round trip, like from that park down to where the path ended and it didn't go anymore, and then back up, I want to say it was like a 28-mile round trip. And so I used to run that, and I would run pieces of it during the week, and then on the weekends I would sometimes run all the way down and then all the way back up. But you're seeing all kinds of snakes. I think I saw a turkey. I might be lying, but I believe I saw a turkey. I have a strong suspicion that I may be telling a fib, but I think I saw a turkey. I definitely saw a deer all the time on this trail. Training for an ultra, I would run this thing like early in the morning, and it was dark, and so that was the first time I had ever seen. So I had my headlamp on, right, and of course I had it on my head because this was when I was a noob and I didn't know all the secrets. Like, you can hold your headlamp in your hand, it's actually better. That's all debatable, but so I would have my headlamp on my head, and I would start off on these early runs, and I'm planning on being out there for basically all day because I'm not that fast. But start off early, and I'm going, along, and I'm looking off to the side of the trail, and I'm like, the grass is really wet. But then I notice, when I look a little closer, the grass isn't wet. All the reflection that I'm seeing that looks like dewdrops on the grass, those are spiders, and the eyes are reflecting back. And you would see like them move every now and then, like jump, and you're like, why is all the dew on the grass jumping? It's not. It's all spiders. You're out in the middle of a spider. So that sounds more like a nightmare, but like seeing these things. And I remember, so Arabia Mountain State Park, you can look that up. It's very interesting, the history of this place. It's one of those things, it's like right under your nose, but you never even know like the whole history. It's like very unassuming, but it's a old quarry for granite. It's a granite quarry, and close to it is Monadnock. I think I'm saying that right. It's a smaller, so there's Stone Mountain, which is like the more, I guess, well-known Monadnock. I hope I'm saying that right, not making a fool of myself, or making more of a fool of myself than I usually do. There's a bigger one, Stone Mountain, but then this one is a smaller one that's close to Arabia Mountain State Park. Or maybe that is Arabia Mountain. I think that is Arabia Mountain, come to think of it. I could be wrong. Foggy on that, but I think there's several, actually. But there's one really proximal to where I would start off running. But I remember running up that, and it's just so alien, the terrain, just different kinds of plants than you usually see, pools of water in this solid rock, everything, sun bleached Georgia pines, just things that stay in my head. And then in the morning, of course, the sunrise, and then the sunset with the pink and the blue and the purple, and just beautiful skies some days, and like your fluffy clouds, or your wispy white clouds with baby blue sky, and you've got this rocky terrain and Georgia pines, and all different kinds of there's a little kind of red, I don't know if it's a flower or if it's a fungus, but it's particular to this area. Like, it only grows on certain terrain, and so you won't see it many other places. I want to say that we have it up at Volcano National Park. I think we have something similar, something related to it. But this was also in Georgia at Arabia Mountain State Park. So if you're in Georgia, which you could be, because I still know people in Georgia. I don't know anybody that would listen to this podcast, but but if you are, then you should go to Arabia Mountain State Park. I love that place. And so I have memories of that, all of that. It became a part of me. It's something that I carry with me now. And the same thing here, like everywhere I go here, it's a part of me. When I ran, I didn't run that much in Iceland, but I still remember, I had little experiences where, one that is in my mind heavy, there were actually two from Iceland. The first one, I'll just go with the second one, because it was a little more sad. The second one that I did a long run, like 20, I think I did. I'll go back and look at Strava, but I think it was somewhere around 20-ish miles. But this was a longer run. But one of the things I did was I ran through a graveyard, and I was looking at the gravestones, and this was a different place, and all the names were different, so it was unfamiliar. But the one thing that was the same was that all these people were no more, and I did a little contemplating, and I swear I'm not ripping this off of David Goggins' book. This was actually a thought that I had while I was doing this, and I don't think it's too far-fetched. I think a lot of people probably have this thought, and that's why we have these memorials, to kind of remind us and make us think, that our time here is precious. But I didn't run through the graveyard. Just want to throw that in. I stopped running to walk through, and then once I was out, I continued on running. I wasn't being disrespectful or anything like that, but observing these gravestones, I had the thought, of how finite everything is, and I need to do all of the things that I can while I still can. My dad likes to say what does he say? I gave it all I had for as long as I had it. I believe that's something close to that. And so I think that's true, and that was the thought that I had going through there. But other cool things about that particular run, I ran by the airport, and there were planes, landing, and that's cool. Kind of like a scene out of Rocky or something. But yeah, and you just running through little residential neighborhoods very quietly because I believe daylight was like 15 hours or more of the day at that time. So sometimes it would be daylight and it would be night time actually, and people would be sleeping. They're very sensitive about that in Iceland. They don't like tourists making noise. So I think this was like in the day though, this particular run. So that was like maybe less fun because of the lamenting our death, our imminent demise and all. But so another one that I did, which was more of a fond memory, we had stayed in this little town that we barely made it into because they were closing roads because of snowstorms all around the area. We managed to get into town, and me and my friends that I went with, we were camping almost everywhere that we were going, and it was off season, so none of the campgrounds were really like open. You could stay there, but a lot of the amenities were not there, and of course there weren't that many people staying around. But we went to this village. We went to this town that was tucked away in the middle of all of these mountains, gorgeous mountains, snow covered. There was a little harbor. Well, not a little harbor. There was a big harbor that came in, like inlet in between two mountains, and that went out into the ocean. And there's like a little idyllic church in this town, and like all the just your typical what you would think of like little village surrounded by mountains and snow everywhere. So it was snowing most of the time. I think that we were in this town. But yeah, so I took a run. What the hell? Because there wasn't a whole lot else to do. And I ran out not like along the bay, but up higher elevation, and I would look down towards the bay, and there's a big cargo ship in the harbor, and I came across somebody's sheep. I think it was a sheep. It had I think it had curly hair. Memory is it's a tricky thing because it's just so unreliable, but I believe it was a sheep that I came across, and of course I stopped and talked to that sheep because I'm a weirdo. But I remember that. That was a good memory. I stopped and talked to that sheep, and it was one of those points in my life where I was like, how lucky am I to be right here, right now, and just taking this all in. And wow, it's amazing that how many people there are in the world, and everybody's having these moments, and I can describe it, and even if I had pictures, I could never adequately transfer that information over to anybody else. That's kind of like my moment, and I've just got a series of these. It really does sound like I did participate in 420. Like, I'm getting really existential here, but I swear I didn't, other than running. I got a runner's high, that's all. But so, like, being in that moment and then realizing that I'm just a small part, I'm having these experiences, but like there's billions of people having the same thing, like, all around, and that's what life is. It's all different, blah blah blah. How lucky I was. But so Iceland's a really interesting place too, because they have a lot of folklore, and I'm not saying that everybody in Iceland believes in trolls I don't think that they do, but I think because of the tourism, the benefit to tourism, and it's part of their culture as well. They have some pretty interesting things. One of the things that they had, which I don't know if this was related to Troll or not, but in the same town and on the same run, I went down and out on the other side of the harbor, and then in the mountain they had carved a door, and I think it was a phone booth, but there was a nice door that was just built into the side of this mountain, and then inside I believe there was a phone on the wall. But this was they didn't build a phone booth externally. They just carved it out into the mountain, and they put this nice wood door, and there was like something inside. I don't remember if it was a phone booth or it could have been like I don't know. There could have been a couch in there for all I remember, because it's been several years. But a lot of interesting things like that to see. And I forgot what my whole point was. Yeah, it's just you go and you make these memories. It's that you otherwise would not have. You get up close and personal with the terrain. So like it's one thing to go to a place and you're taking a bunch of selfies, and you're taking pictures of everything, and you're like eating a bunch of food. All that stuff is great, but doing the Skyline Trail, I saw pieces of Japan that I never would have otherwise seen. And I got to experience things. I got to experience people like firsthand, and not only that, but I got to experience trail running culture, and then I got to not really meet, but I got to interact with people from around the world that had come there to do the same thing I was doing. And so for a schlub like me, those kind of things are cool. Like that's big time stuff for me to get to do that, and so I'm grateful for all those opportunities, and that's why I don't see running as a means to an end. It's a big part of, I think, who I am. It adds value. I guess that's what I was saying earlier. That's the value that it adds. Things that I would otherwise not notice. I would be too self-absorbed. So, yeah, I really don't have a point in all this podcast, everybody, but just sharing my experience today. It was such a good one that I knew that I should get on and talk about a little bit. But I did also, if nothing else comes out of this whole thing, I do want to push that book really heavily, because I enjoy it. I am enjoying it thoroughly, and I think it's beneficial for anybody to pick up, whether you run a step in your life or not. I think it's cool to know. And if you are planning on getting into ultra running, then it's kind of like the who's who and the what not to do and what to do of it all. It's kind of like the owner's manual for ultra running. So please do check it out. But it's been about an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and end this for now. But everybody continue to take care, and I know that things aren't ideal, but there's kind of a silver lining in everything. You have to look for it, and then even if there's not, then you have to become David Goggins and just be relentless and make it through with sheer guts and determination. So take care, and then I'll be back hopefully soon. Thanks for listening.